2.4 is graphing linear equations in standard form. The learning objective is we are learning to graph linear equations written in standard form. So standard form of a linear equation looks like this. ax plus by equals c. So we are used to y equals mx plus b, but this is just another form called standard form, where a and b are coefficients that cannot be zero. So let's take a look. There are two ways to graph linear equations in standard form. I'm going to show you the first way, which is writing the equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So an easier way to remember it is take your equation in standard form, and all you're going to do is solve for y. You want it to look like this. You want it to be in the y equals form. So you're going to use what you know about solving equations. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Then I'm left with 3y equals 2x minus 6. To isolate the variable and get y by itself, I'm going to divide everything by 3. Remember, what do you do to one side? You have to do to the other. That's on all the terms. So my final linear equation is y equals 2/3 x minus, well, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And remember, this is your slope. You want slope as a fraction because it's rise over run. So don't be scared if you get something like 2/3 or 1/4. You actually want it to be a fraction. And now you can graph this line. This equation and this equation will result in the same line. They are equivalent. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept of -2, and then I'm going to do the slope, rise 2, run 3. Or I could do the opposite, rise down 2, left 3. And there is my linear equation. The second way to graph an equation in standard form is by using the intercepts, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So you know when you have an intercept, you're going to plug in 0 for x, and you'll have a y value. And you're going to plug in 0 for y, and you'll have an x value. So all I'm going to do is substitute, right? I'm going to actually rewrite that over here. If I plug in 0 for x, right, I'm substituting in 0 for x. Now solve for y. Well, this is actually gone. And you're left with 3y equals -3. Divide by 3, divide by 3, y equals -1. And you put that in your solution. That's your first intercept. Okay. Another way I like to remember it is, I call it the hand method. I can't show you with my hand on the video, so I'm going to use this square. If I have 0 as my x, this is 0. I'm going to replace the 0 over here. Now I'm going to solve this equation, because anything times 0 will cancel it out. So this is what I'm left with, which is what I've solved for. Let's try again with this one on the right. So I have my first intercept, 0, -1. Boom, right there. Now I plugged in 0 for x. Now I'm going to plug in 0 for y. So I'm going to take my square, and 0 is y, so I'm going to plop it right there. Okay? Or if you want to write it out, you can do it like this, if that confuses you. And this is actually gone, so you're just left with x equals -3. So your second intercept is -3, 0. 1, 2, 3. Let's do this in green too. And there is your line. And that is how we can do it in standard form. So you could pick either way. You could solve for y, or you could use the intercepts. Sometimes one way is more preferable, but the more that you solve equations and graph equations in standard form, the easier it will be for you to decide which way or which method you should use.